Welcome to More Than a Budget, a podcast presented by Relational Media. Co-founders Jeff Fine-Thomas, a licensed marriage and family therapist, and John Mitchell, a certified financial planner, combine the fields of psychology and personal finance to help couples improve their relationships and discover what is more important than money.
Hi, I'm Jeff.
And I'm John. Hey, Jeff, have you noticed that in social media, reels, all the stuff people are wasting their time watching these days, we seem to love lists.
Yeah? What do you mean?
Well, like TikTok has the top 10 things to do now. Insta's, pointing out the 5 moves for great abs or the 4 foods to never eat and, 5 great ways to get your finance. Lists, right?
Yeah, I get it.
What I thought we might do today is look at one thing. If there is one important thing about setting a course financially, is there one thing?
Is there one thing?
I think there's one thing.
Okay, what is it?
And so what we're going to be talking today is about the power of saving. Not a savings account so much, but sure, why not? But just the idea of being able to save.
Okay.
And how it is so foundational to anything else that we want to accomplish financially. So I use the word foundation. I'm thinking about the foundation in a home. Mm-hmm. Have you ever, driven by a house and, when you're looking for homes and thought, man, that is one sexy foundation.
Never.
Have you ever pondered the curb appeal of foundations?
Foundations? I hope to never see foundations. There's no curb appeal in foundations.
In fact, you can't even see it. They're covered by carpet and tile or
whatever.
Bark dust on the outside, mulch or whatever. No one ever sees the foundation, but it's pretty important. If you've ever had a crack in a doorway or some sagging bricks or a door that won't shut, you start to understand just how important the foundation of a home is.
Yeah.
And, you should get a crack in the wall. Sure, I could paint that or spackle it up and, call it a day. But have I solved anything?
You made it look pretty, but you didn't fix the foundation.
Right. So just like the foundation of your home is really important, the foundation of being able to save is really the basis by which all things financially are going to be built on. Your ability to deal with the randomness of life comes out of your ability to save. Another way that I'd say what is saving is the ongoing practice of spending less than you make because you have an awareness or an acceptance that what is coming cannot be fully known. Does that make sense to you?
Sure. You're saying you're planning for what you don't know will happen.
Yeah. I can say, look, we've got a really good budget, but I really have to admit that life has surprises. And not all the surprises are good. If you ever played the game Monopoly, every once in a while you have to go to jail, or you have to pay a fine, or they don't have a blown out tire card in Monopoly, but they should, because that's the kind of stuff that happens. And the way that you get through that is one of two ways. You either find yourself borrowing because you're living at your limit, or you find yourself just tapping into savings until things smooth out. People ask me all the time, how do we save for retirement? How do we plan for, college education for kids? How do we plan for these goals? The first thing is to establish a pattern, a sustainable pattern of saving. So what does it take to save? I want you to talk a little bit about the idea that it takes teamwork.
Well, of course it takes teamwork. I think, if you're a couple and you're able to save, it provides a sort of sense of security about the connection, right? There's certain markers of the health of your relationship that have to do with saving. Other things too.
Right.
We're talking about saving today. I think the ability to be consistent over time, working towards something consistently, like the goal of saving.
Right.
It points to high-level relational skills, right?
Yeah, you can't save on your own, can you? You can't really have one partner that's a saver and one that's a spender and make it work, because the spender is always going to say, hey, there's money left. And so unless you're in the business of hiding money, that's not a great relational moment, right?
Yeah, you have to work as a team.
You've got to work together as a team. And so what it means is it's kind of a barometer of relational health. It says that we can work together and we can forego some immediate gratification. We can work extra hard to make sure that we have enough income coming in that we can create this buffer.
I think it also identifies, that you've decided together what's important to you.
Mm-hmm.
You set a goal for yourself and you said, we are committed to that thing. I think it also helps you identify your priorities. What's first.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you're saying, in terms of finances, there's, saving is a foundational idea. So we're talking about it being first, right?
I think it also points to health in a relationship, period. Because you need some fairly developed relational skills in order to come to the conclusion that we're not going to use all of our resources every time they're available.
Yeah, to be able to plan so that you're not using all your resources when they're available. That's
right.
A big deal.
It means that you're coming together, you're saying, hey, this is what's important to us, and these are some things that maybe we want that we're not going to do. So it means you're communicating. It means you're prioritizing.
Right. And you're planning.
It means that you are, in some ways, going without.
Yeah.
You're denying not just yourself, but you're denying yourselves together. There's a joint commitment to wait.
And you're solving problems together.
Yes. You think about what makes a good relationship. I wouldn't say to somebody, well, it means that, a good relationship is where you can save money. But it does point to having made some progress relationally.
I also think, we talk a lot about the idea of shared experience, saving together, being able to plan together, problem solve together, all these things we're just talking about, create a sense of shared experience. We're going through it together.
Right.
And that phenomenon is really helpful in relationships because it gives you a sense of belonging to something that's more important than just you.
I would go as far to say that if you are listening to our podcast and you're going, you know what, me and my spouse, we just really have done a poor job of communicating on money, and we get in each other's business about it, or we're not good at it, or we don't know what we're doing, but you have been able to save, you've been able to put back enough to take care of emergencies. Maybe you're able to accumulate enough for a down payment on a home, or you've made some joint decisions together that have worked their way into savings. I would say that you are, you have more going for you than you think.
Sometimes that might be hard to see when things are stressful and you don't have a ton of money.
Right.
You're saying maybe people underestimate the power of saving.
The proof of savings. I would say that it proves that you guys can get on the same page. It proves that you can put the relationship ahead of the individual moments. It proves that under stress, you can still choose to come together and do what's best for your future. Those are skills that not every relationship currently has developed.
Sure.
It also means that you have the ability to do some planning. Even if the simplicity of your plan is somebody told us we should save something. It means that you are starting to think about putting how you take care of your resources, how you care for your resources. You're moving that into a priority place.
I think one of the things that is important, I'm sure there are a lot of listeners who are in debt. And they're hearing us talk about the importance of savings, and they're feeling the squeeze. How do I save when I'm in debt?
Right.
Can you speak to that?
Sure. I get this question a lot. Hey, John, you're talking about saving money, but literally every dollar we have right now is going to debt service and bills. So are you saying that we should, pay less of a credit card balance in order to start saving some money? And I cautiously, let me start off with this. I'm not your financial advisor. I'm not your planner, but I can make the case, just in general, all things being equal, and I'm going to make it this way, is that there could very well be something next month show up that's unexpected also.
So if you're not saving, then you're potentially, putting yourself at risk of having to go into more debt when that thing comes.
Correct. And it could very easily end up being something that makes your situation worse. So yeah, I guess I would say that there does need to be a priority to saving. And I would even say to some people, I don't know what it's going to take for the two of you to make a commitment to create some extra income. I don't know if that means a little bit of Ubering or a little bit, I don't know what the side hack needs to be, the side gig needs to be to generate some income. But sometimes there's a season where you have to do two things. You have to work on paying off some debt and you have to work on doing some saving in order to short circuit the problem, right?
Okay.
That doesn't mean it's going to be like this forever. But every once in a while you enter a season where, whether by your own or by outside circumstances, you're in a position that you're going to have to together fight your way out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And the faster you fight your way out of it, the better. In fact, there's an old quote from Winston Churchill talking about the World War II with Germany, saying, look, if you're going to go through hell, go through it. Don't wait around. Don't drag your feet. Put your nose into it and go face it.
Sure.
And so if there's some things that need to get done in order to generate a little bit more income, cut expenses, whatever it is, get control back, get on top of it, and do it together. It will be maybe not a challenge that you look back on in your relationship and say, that was fun, but you might look back and say, look what we did.
Yeah, you have a sense of accomplishment together.
Right. So yes, it is the number one thing. It is the number one place that you build a financial future off of, is saving.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to leave us a like, comment, or review. And tell your friends. New episodes drop weekly. Learn more about Jeff and John at relational-media.com.